have the distinct honor to introduce three gentlemen who are very impactful to this community, very special to Columbus, and we hope that you'll enjoy what they have to say. First of all, I'd like to introduce Mark Immelman. We call him up to the stage. Mark is, he's a Columbus resident. He's a former college golf coach at Columbus State University. He's turned CBS Sports and PGA Tour broadcaster. He's just a man of many talents. So we appreciate you being here. He's going to moderate this little deal here. Please. And then next, many will probably recognize him from what I like to think is probably the greatest highlight career in the history of golf. He's 1987 Masters champion and Columbus resident Larry Mize. And last but not least, we have five-time PGA Tour winner. We have member of the U.S. team, Ryder Cup team in 2025, the number 4 player in the world. We're so excited to welcome to the stage Russell Henley.
It's a thrill to be here with these two guys who need no introduction whatsoever. In fact, I'm not sure why I am on the stage. Maybe it's the strange accent, just to add a little of that. Or something different. All we're going to do here for a little while is probe the minds of these two great champions. Because when I'm not doing this sort of stuff, I have a podcast. And the podcast is there to help people learn from great golfers like these two guys. So when I was asked to do this, I was like, yes, I can ask questions of these two great minds. So if you have questions toward the end, just raise your hand. We'll take one or two. But we have some prepared questions that have come from the AJGA Instagram account. So without further ado, let's start with our tournament host, the number 4 ranked golfer in the world. So I have to start this. Junior golf, the Russell Henley Junior Golf Championship, the inspiration, where'd that come from?
Talking, I just see what I just talk like this. Y'all hear me? Okay. So Michael actually called me originally before any of this started and said, hey, I really want to talk to you about getting an AJGA event here in Columbus, Georgia, and was wondering if you would consider we could use your name. And my first reaction was, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I'll be home. I don't know what that's going to look like. And the more he pitched it, the more we talked about it, the more momentum we got from sponsors like Synovus and Green Island got excited about it. The staff, the members, everybody has come together and just, been so supportive of it. I just realized that this is a no-brainer. This is going to be awesome. And when I was growing up, I don't know where everybody is from, but when I was growing up in Macon, Georgia, I just wanted to talk to a pro. That was like what I wanted to do. I would love 5 minutes with a pro to talk to them. I didn't know what I was doing different. I didn't know if I was on the right track. I just wanted to pick their brain and see what they were, thinking and what they would tell me about my game. I would love for them to tell me all the things they think I need to work on. Anything. Just give me something, And so once this kind of got some momentum there, I realized this is actually kind of what I dreamt of when I was, a junior golfer. I wanted to speak to a pro. I wanted to be able to do that. And so, what I want to do this week is be available. And I tried to make that clear to everybody I met today. It was awesome meeting everybody. Met a lot of the parents. I only want to be able to pick my brain and ask me any question you have, because I'm a little bit farther down the road. And I was where y'all are. My parents were dropping me around the Southeast, all over the country, taking me to golf tournaments. And, without my parents, I wouldn't have had the opportunity. But that's kind of the big thing for me is I want to, make this tournament better every year and see how we can improve. But also I want to try to be here. So this is cool for me to be able to do that and be the pro instead of wishing I was getting talked.
So golfers who are playing, go and tell your friends about how great Columbus was. What a cool event this is, and let's continue to grow this thing. So how about we pick their brains now? With us on the stage is the 1987 Masters Channel. Little backstory, I've gotten to know Larry very well over the last few years, but when I was a young kid like you, there was this guy that chipped in to beat two of my heroes in the game, Sevi Ballesteros and Greg Norman. And I did not like Larry Mize. Anyway, fast forward.
There's a long list of guys that.
Anyway, fast forward. I moved to Columbus. I get to meet Larry. I worked with him on his game for a little while. And now I get to call him a friend. Now I'm going to ask Larry to share with you guys what is arguably the greatest chip shot in the history of golf. And if your kids haven't seen it, go to YouTube, type in Larry Mize purple shirts. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Have at there. Well, I think you've got a great person here with Russ setting us up, and he will be available. And one thing that I like to pass along to you is, because we've all been where y'all are and wanted to get our games better. And I always like to encourage people, work on everything. Well, whatever you do, your short game can never be good enough. So always continue to work on your short game. One of the things Russ and I, we've enjoyed competing and practicing together with a short game, and that's a great way to do it. But get that short game good. It can carry you a long way in this game. As far as the chip shot, about Sammy bogey number 10, Greg and I go to a number 11, and I flared, shot out to the right, to Collins to the left, to green on 11, and Greg hits it on the right fringe. So my thinking is I want to hit a good aggressive shot, put the pressure back on him because he's 40 feet from the hole for birdie. But one of the worst things is you can be in golf is indecisive. You really have to commit to the golf shot. I don't like hitting a bad shot, but I can handle it. But what infuriates me is I hit a bad shot because I wasn't committed to it. Because bad shots are going to happen. It's part of the game. It's a game of misses. Whoever misses it the best and makes the putts, it only wins. So I wanted to make sure I was committed to that shot. But one of the great things about it was you practice the little pitch and run a lot at Augusta because you got the tight dry grass around the greens. Sometimes you can't fly out on the greens are too hard fast. And that was the situation of that shot there. So I had to play a little pitch and run. I had to use a 56-degree sand wedge, which is all we used back in those days. Excuse me. And because anything with less off would have run into Pollard. So, I played it back in my stance, hit a little pitch and run. I picked out a spot. Because with the short game, in my opinion, you want to make sure you want to pick out a spot where you want the ball to land and not focus too much on the target. Because if you pick the spot where it lands and figure it's going to run to the target, you want to focus on that. If you focus on the target, sometimes you're going to have trouble with distance control. So you want to focus on where the ball was, where you want the ball to land. I did that, landed just short. I knew it was going to go right to left. Trying to put pressure back on Greg, and sure enough, it went in, and I went run around, jumping, screaming like that.
And now he's forever Masters champion. Something Larry gets to do that Russell doesn't yet is go to a little dinner on Tuesday night at the Augusta National Golf Club.
But he has lunch with me in the Champions locker room every year. It's just some sport kids, Larry.
The Champions that must still be a thrill.
It's incredible. I mean, from all the great champions I've got to know and talk with over the years, and listen to hear Jackie Burke Jr. and Sam Snead discussing stuff. It's just been incredible. And now to see all these great young players, Tiger, to Scotty Scheffler, Russell, I'm praying I'm going to be there still with me. It's just a great dinner where it's just the Masters champions, and Fred Ridley or whoever is the chairman there is with us, and it's a night I look forward to every year. It's just so special.
Right, Russ. You will be representing the United States in this. One of the automatic selections for Captain Keegan Bradley, so he did not have to stress a call on Wednesday morning. He played the President's Cup. Scotty Scheffler found himself a new partner, by the way. You must be excited.
I'm excited. It's a dream come true. I never really would have thought that my 13th season on tour, I would make Ryder Cup. I for some reason thought, I guess I just didn't think this far down the road, but I felt better about my game. I felt like I've gotten along with those guys more and more, and I'm I'm just overwhelmed with excitement. I really don't even have the words to describe it, but team, anything with a team, I get really excited about. And last year playing the President's Cup, just have it about teammate to lean on, whether you're on the course or in the locker room or having your meals. It's just such a different environment compared to a regular event, and I can't wait.
Right, how about we do this? We try and get some advice on how to play better golf out of these two guys. You up for that? Right, Russell. When I've called Ryder Cups and President's Cups, I've been noticing the first hole, and I'm folding my microphone. Yeah. The first tee experience. Now, you haven't been there yet. You know, you've done the President's Cup. Larry, you've been into a Ryder Cup. Talk about how you deal with the nerves of a situation like that.
Yeah, so real quick before I answer that, like when I moved to Columbus in 2019, I was really struggling with my game. And I told Larry that I was going to be, we had played the 2 Masters together already. And I told Larry that I was going to be moving here. And ever since then, he has been like the best mentor for me. And so these types of questions are the types of questions I usually ask of Larry. Because he's done it, he's been there, and he's just been incredible. And, you know, I can call him any time of day, and he's been there for me, not just with golf stuff, but with life stuff. So I've asked Larry a lot of these questions. So really what I've figured out works for me, and I haven't experienced the first tee of a Ryder Cup. I know that's probably going to be different. I played in the away President's Cup. That was intense. A lot of music, a lot of people yelling as you take your swing. You know, they do the whoa. Which is different than our tour event. But, you know, I think what I've realized for me is when I try to calm down, I usually get more nervous. I try to almost ramp it up a little bit. You know, almost use my intensity to grab a hold of the situation a little bit more. And I just feel like when I embrace those nerves, embrace the butterflies, because that's really why I play. You know, I want to see what I'm made of in the toughest situation. And I feel like I do better with it. Now, that doesn't mean I always I'm always perfect with it. I'm going to be nervous. But I like to almost try to treat it like I'm, you know, like I'm playing a different sport. Just try to get up for it a little bit.
Larry? Well, that AC's right on. I mean, I will just, you know, right pigtails of that, coattails of that. You know, you want to use the nerves in your favor. Because to me, if you don't get nervous, something's wrong with it. Anybody who says I don't get nervous out there, I'll tell you right now, I really don't believe it. Not if you don't care. So the whole thing is, I like to say, we want those butterflies flying in formation, rather than all over the place. So you just want to embrace it, like Russell said, embrace it. You realize there are 12 guys that are going to be there playing the event, and there are hundreds, thousands of other guys who wish they were there. So enjoy the fact that you're there. Realize the nerves are a great thing. Nerves help you focus, help you hit it farther, help you do so many good things. You just want to embrace that and enjoy it and keep it in perspective. I mean, you know, we got to realize that my Christian faith is very important to me, and I get grounded with that, knowing this isn't life or death. It's what I do for a living. I need to work hard at it. Keep in perspective, control, believe in your work. You know, you have good mental thoughts before you go out there. Think of other shots. You hit in the fairway, visualize that shot you want to hit, and knock it down the fairway. And just realize it's going to be okay one way or another. I always like Dr. Kerry Middlecoff's comment. He says, you know, I'm okay if I don't win or something, because my wife's still going to love me and my dog doesn't bite me. Yeah. But you just want to embrace those nerves, realize there are a lot of people that wish they were in your shoes.
Well, I guess along those lines, a lot of teenagers in the group here, and they'll ask for collegians and professionals. Looking back, Larry, what would you say to your teenage self? Having seen all of it now, every level of the year, been successful, looking back, what would you say to a young year?
For me, I would say, you know, I looking back, I could have had a better work ethic. You know, I could have done a little thing. I will say Russell has a tremendous work ethic. I really love his work ethic, and it's one of the reasons he's fourth in the world. Got a great work ethic. The other thing I would say is I was a shy bit, and I didn't play enough outside of Georgia. I didn't want to go out there. I would have tried to play in some of the bigger tournaments, because there's no substitute for experience. So when I went off to college, and even when I got on tour, I didn't have near the experience these other guys playing in the Transmiss, the you know, the north, south, all these things, all these great tournaments and traveling around. And I would have done more of that if I was able to. And I think I would have been able to, but I just didn't push that envelope to do that. I was just more of a homebody kid. And I would say more competition you could play in, the better. It's just, there's no substitute for that.
Good thing for the AJGA.
AJGA is great playing these tournaments. I never, well, if it was around back when I played, but I never did anything like that. And so this is a great thing. Playing stuff like this is excellent.
Russell, you don't have the benefit of gray hair like Larry and me, but if you were talking to teenage Russell, you said,
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Like, the more you play tournaments, the more you can kind of figure out what am I doing wrong, what am I doing right, and then just kind of learning to deal with your game when it doesn't feel good all the time. There's so many days I play where the club just doesn't feel quite as good in my hands, or I'm a little bit anxious over a chip, or whatever it is. And when the more you play tournaments, the more you learn to deal with stuff like that. And that's a big part of taking your game to the next level, is making your bad rounds, your unpopular rounds, just a little bit better.
right, that's all I got. Kids, any questions for these two champions? Anybody raise your hand? Yes.
Oh, what do you do different from stroke play and match play? Like, do you change anything?
The question was, between stroke play and match play, is there anything different that you do?
Yeah, I think every situation is different in match play. You know, with stroke play, I'm typically kind of paying attention to my own game until basically the last 9 moles on Sunday to see where I'm at, if I need to be a little more aggressive to try to get closer to a lead, or if I need to just continue with my game plan. So with match play, I think every it's so situational. You know, if I'm playing match play against Larry and I hit it, you know, out of bounds on the first tee shot, and all of a sudden he might change his strategy. You know, if he might take less of a chance off the tee. So I think that match play, you just kind of have to play each hole just and be able to react a little bit to what the person you're playing against is doing. But if it's a kind of a rhythm of a match where you feel like you're playing well, and you know, sometimes you just don't want to change much. You know, I think with last year the President's Cup, I haven't played a lot of these team events, but I just kind of felt like, as a partner for Scotty last year, and just if you're playing against me, if I played my normal game, which I played all last year, I played really well, which was pretty solid. If I played that game, they'd have to play really well to beat me. So that was always my focus in match play. And I just play my normal solid game, and that's pretty hard to beat. And so I don't know if that helps, but those are kind of 2 calls I have.
That's a great question. First off, I agree with everything he said. The only other thing I would really add would be, you need to always expect your opponent to pull off a shot. Too many times he's here, and you play a little too conservative, and he or she will come back and do something well. So you still have to play the golf course and play your shots, and you have to be aware of what he's doing. But always remember, expect them to make the shot, because then if they do make the shot and you messed up, now that can really roll your momentum. So continue to push, continue to try to do well, and I think that'll carry you a lot of match flow.
We have time for one more. Yes?
What routines or like habits do you help you stay consistent week after week?
Real fast, the question is routines or habits week to week for the professional golf.
In terms of like practice, or like when I'm on the golf course?
Both.
Okay. So for me, I have kind of what I like to call a touching the bases, which would be, I have about 15 minutes of I have like a putting mat I was telling you about earlier, where I just work on like my setup. I'm literally working on trying to make sure my setup is good. And then I have one thing with my stroke I work on. Typically I have a little bit too much arc. So I'm working on having a little less arc, and I'll hit like 25 really focused, really intentional putts doing that. Working on my 2 tendencies that get a little bit off. And then I'll go into some performance kind of drills with putting. And it takes me about 45 minutes to an hour. I try to do it pretty much every day. And that doesn't really change too much until I get to the tournament. So every part of my game, I have something similar to the putting, where there's some fundamental work, and then I have some performance work. And I try to just be really consistent. Like total amount of practice on a practice day would probably be 4.5 hours if I do everything, every part of the game, and then plus if I play. And then in tournaments, you know, I have the benefit of having a caddy. So my caddy has done all this research on this golf course. We've talked about how we're going to play the golf course, and just kind of how our interactions. We've gotten so used to how we speak to each other. That's really consistent. He's never gonna. Like, I'm never going to catch my caddy typically saying, like, way more than I wanted to say. Like, it'd be too much information. Try to just keep everything the same. Same amount of info. Once we get a decision, I like to say out loud kind of my 2 swing thoughts, which is I always say level and get through it. And I actually say it out loud. Sometimes you won't hear me. I might mumble it. But those are kind of some things I do to kind of get in the mindset of back to hitting the shot. So... but let's talk about that later when we have more times.
I've heard him say that when I'm on the golf course for CBS.
Say the question again.
Routines.
Routine. Well, one thing that helped me later on that it was good, after a round, I would go do short game first and then hit balls. Because a lot of times after a round, I'd go hit balls, and then I go to the short game, and I started getting tired, and the short game got neglected. And I think, once again, I need to keep my short game sharp. That was a strength of mine. I want to keep them sharp. I think it's where you get momentum in this game. I mean, great up and downs. You look at Scotty Scheffler at the British Open this year. I mean, he makes some great 2 15-footers for par early in the round and stuff like that. His short game kept his momentum going, and he's great about that, as is Russell. So that was one thing, routine I changed to get there. And the other that, I mean, everything Russell said is great. And then the other thing I think about is having a crease shot routine and staying in my routine. I got it to where my routine was down so much. When I did get nervous, and I'd go through the routine where I would tap my 12 on my shoe, I'd go in there, do a cleansing breath, kind of calm the nerves a little bit, and I got over the shot, and I felt like I'm in my comfort zone because I'm doing the same thing every time. So that really, even when I had the nerves, it calmed me down because I'm in my crease shot routine, doing the same thing every time. And you'd like to do it about the same amount of time, whether it's whatever it may be. Just doing the same thing over and over will really help you with any time, but definitely when you're under a lot of pressure.
Let me add something to that real quick. So playing with Scotty last year, the one thing I noticed, if we were 3 down or if we were 3 up, I noticed the cadence and the speed in which he walked down the fairway and the speed at which he walks into every single shot is the same every time. If you go back and look at clips of Tiger and Jack, and now I'm going to put Scotty in one of the greats of the game. It's almost like the speed never changes. So that's something to pay attention to.
And I can't emphasize what he said enough about Scotty keeping an even keel. You got to keep an even keel. I remember when I first got on tour, I'm playing Barbertown Hill had the second year, and I'm excited because I couldn't get into my rookie year. And I got all playing good. And I mean, I was so jacked up, I only rutted the next tee. And I said, okay, I had to learn to calm down and keep it real calm. And I think the example of Sky is great because he doesn't, I've noticed that too. He just doesn't change anything. Walks the same speed, doesn't matter. So keeping that even keel, but keeping it in perspective, no, it's not as bad as you think it is. And if it is bad, I like the way Tom Watson dealt with that. And someone asked him, said, what happens if you've had a bad round? Well, you think, well, all the bad shots are out. I'll play really good the next one. And then he said, okay. He said, well, what happens if you play a really good round? Well, I think I'm on a roll. I'm going to play really good. And the guy says, well, that's not logical. Well, it isn't logical for us to think the other way either. We'll think, I played good. Oh, gosh, I've used it all up. I played bad. Now I lost it. So if you're going to be illogical, at least be illogical on the right side. And that'll carry you a long way. I mean, the game is so mental, this game is. If you keep your mind positive, it's huge in this game.
Yeah. So I called, so last year Jim Furyk was the captain of the President's Cup team I was on, and I called him probably 2016 or so, and I was struggling with a part of my game, and he was very nice to give me a few minutes on the phone, and he said a big part of what I do is managing the one day of the tournament that I don't feel very good. There's usually one day, and said, for example, I've learned that, like on a Friday, say I'm feeling really uncomfortable, sometimes I'll have a 9-iron in my hands and I'll aim 40 feet away from a flag. So he said, there's nothing wrong with that. Said, he said a lot of times I'll shoot a 73 and then I'll go to the range Friday. I'll find my game. Saturday I'll go out. I'll find it on the range Friday afternoon and I'll shoot 64. And they'll say, tell me about this amazing round that got you in the tournament. And he's saying, actually Friday was the round because I had nothing Friday. So I think like being okay with being a little more conservative when you're not as comfortable. It's okay to not go for a par 5 if you have a 3-wood in your hand that you can get there. You know, I think just managing your own game and not comparing it, I think is something that's really healthy.
If I might add to what these two greats have said to you and taught you, from my experiences with the both of them and with some of the best PGA Tour golfers I get to watch every week, is that Larry is the best Larry Mize there is. And Russell Henley is the best Russell Henley that he is. They're not trying to be somebody else. They're being true to exactly who they are. And he said this to me the other day. He goes, look, I'm not going to drive the thing as far as Rory. But if I play my game, we're going to compete, yes? And so I want to charge you guys to, as you grow in this game, and as all the fanfare and the NIL deals and television and all this stuff comes along, just be you. Be true to yourself. If you do that, you'll be the best you that you can be, and if you do that, then you are a success. So thank you for your attention. Please, can we give these two guys a warm round of... Thanks again to Green Island, to Mr. Mayor for coming out, to Synovus for sponsoring this, Michael, all the folks, Truth Springs, all you, and then to the parents, thank you for bringing your kids out, and to all you golfers, have a great week. Go and shine. Remember, there will be better days, but shine nonetheless.